Hi, this is Shane Starr on a beautiful summer day in Southern California. Today I'm continuing my series where I combine my passion for typology with my education and experience in philosophy to help my viewers live their best life by targeting specific cognitive functions or elements or Enneagram fixations for improvement using philosophical masterpieces as our blueprint or roadmap, pointing us towards self-actualization in these realms. So we've already established in earlier videos that the best functions to target are, in MBTI terminology, the third, the fourth, and the eighth functions, which in Socionics are the mobilizing, suggestive, and role functions or elements. And I'm leaving it up to you to decide which ones you want to target, or if you want to take the holistic approach and try to improve all of them, video by video. That's a great idea too. So today's function or element is extroverted sensing, SE. I have a lot of experience with this function. I've been typed by some people as this being at the front of my stack, others in demo position. In any event, I know a little bit about SE from experience, I think. So the way I try to define all the functions is by taking an overview of all my trusted sources, and then I cut out everything around the edges that doesn't match what the other sources say. And then I have, the centerpiece of what it means that most, if not everyone, agrees on. So in the sense of extrovert sensing, it's a subjective, irrational function. It's the perception of physical objects, or even people, and the impact that they or yourself has on the immediate physical environment. So in short, it's really just sensory experience, concrete data, and force. Not necessarily violent force, but just force in the sense of action. Okay, so on the plus side with good SE, you're going to see action, power, impact, strength. I would argue will, even though others place that somewhere else on the continuum. I put it at SE. And I would also say energy, physical energy, versus inertia, laziness, helplessness, weakness, passivity. Just that kind of inertia, just lackluster, tired feeling. Okay, so examples of people who struggle with this function, not necessarily polar, but it would include inferior position or polar position. I would think, and this is my own list I made, for the biggest, quickest thing to say here, I think, is procrastination. Just putting things off, not being present in the moment, indecision, struggle with sports, struggle with motivation, lack of follow through, fear and anxiety that lead to paralysis or lack of action. Just like, I'm not sure what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And I would also say it's low SEs characterized by a lack of ability to deal with practical matters in life. People who just can't seem to get started, they can't get it going. Anything that takes work is an issue for these people. For someone like me, I call it laziness, but that might be unfair to the people with low SE. It's a characteristic they just don't have. And if you have it in a spot that's improvable, then this video should help. So, an introduction to our author, this guy with weird looking eyes and glasses, Jean-Paul Sartre, French philosopher. His dates are 1905 to 1980. He's the leading, most famous existentialist author, probably. I think Nietzsche would rival him, but he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1964. He's really known for being able to communicate complex philosophical ideas into a wide, non-specialist audience. You know, he popularized existentialism. This earned him both a lot of public praise and adverse, vile contempt from some of his contemporaries. Most notably, Martin Heidegger, who we featured last time. Heidegger tried to distance himself from Sartre. He didn't appreciate Sartre lumping him in with the rest of the existentialists. He also didn't like Sartre calling him an atheist. That's some of my viewers in the last video claimed Heidegger as one of their own, or claimed him as to be an atheist. I strongly disagree there. And Heidegger himself didn't like the fact of Sartre affiliating him with that set of beliefs. You can look it up yourself. So Sartre had a lot of friends and a lot of enemies as well. And the work that we're focusing on, as you can see, it's a smaller book. It's really like a long essay. In Sartre's words, the chief effort of this work is to face life. And more specifically, he wanted to draw out the implications for purposeful action in a godless universe, a universe without purpose. He wanted to convey the ultimate truth that humans are condemned to be free, in his words, personally responsible for what they do, and they can't use an outside structure or authority as an excuse. People are what they do, nothing less and nothing more. We choose our values, and in so doing, we choose and create ourselves as we go. All right. The featured takeaway quote from the book is, he says again, "You're nothing else than your life. There's no reality except in action." Those are on pages 32 and 33. A good point, something I've always appreciated about him, in spite of my own theism and his atheism, is he mentions that even in religion, we must choose the meaning that it has for us. We must choose to believe. We have to interpret what message we're getting, and then it's still up to us to believe it. And then even if we believe it, it's still up to us to follow through. So there's layers of belief and layers of action. And the real takeaway here is that there are no guarantees in life. There's no guarantee that our beliefs are right, and that leaves us in this kind of vacuum where the only thing we can do is act, because that's all we have. That's all we are. And again, even if you believe, you have to choose to believe, or you have to choose to disbelieve. And then once you take that step, you have to take the additional step of choosing to act in accordance with your beliefs. So whether you're Christian or atheist or something in between, to live in bad faith, in Sartre's words, are to not live a life in agreement with your beliefs. Because so many of us, you see people committing crimes with crosses around their necks, and you see people who do good things who think there's no meaning in life, but they're going to do the right thing anyway. In the end, who's closer to holiness? It's a more difficult question to answer than one would think. So, given what Sartre says, how does this enlighten our perspective of SE, or extroverted sensing? In so many words, Sartre claims that our lives are our own work of art. And this is my analogy here. It's like our lives are a blank canvas that we paint a little bit into every day. If you're lucky, some of your blots on the painting, in other words, mistakes you make in your life, you can turn that part into birds or something, turn a mistake into a nice thing. But one way or another, we color our canvas as we go, and that's it. That's all we have is our actions. So how does that relate to SE? If action is all there is, then procrastination is among the worst of mistakes or even sinful things to do. To use a Bible verse in a video about Sartre, which will make him roll over in his grave, which is why I want to especially do it. Jesus has a parable about the person who just buries his talent in the sand and doesn't use it. And in the end, that person gets damned. It's like they didn't use their gifts. So again, back to my question, what does this have to do with extrovert sensing? It means no more waiting. The time to act, the perfect timing, the time to get that new job, the time to get married, the time to make a change in your life, it's never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as that. It's easier to change the direction of your life if you're already moving. And this is a physical principle as well. Think about a car. Try steering it when it's not turned on. You're going to have a hard time turning that wheel. If you're moving, you can do it with a fingertip, right? Life is the same way. If you're already moving in a direction, even if it's not the right direction, as long as you're going, as long as you're making moves, doing your thing, like the Nike commercial says, just do it. You're going to get somewhere. And if you get somewhere you don't want to be, because you're in motion, you can do a U-turn and get out of it. It's when you're stagnant, when you're stuck in inertia, when you're not doing anything with your life, that's the most dangerous part. And that's when it's difficult to get going again. So any suggested changes to your routine going forward with SE, the way to flex your SE muscle, make it stronger, from big things in life, like I mentioned, jobs, romance, whatever, down to just little things like washing your car, sending a piece of mail out that you need to do. Just do it. Whatever your mind, heart, and soul sets out to do it. Make a list if you have to. That's more getting into TE, which we'll tackle in our next video. But make tangible steps today and follow through with them. Urgency. All you have is now. That's all any of us ever have. The future doesn't exist. The past is already gone. You have right now. Do what you want to do. Ask yourself, what is it that you really want? Take that tangible step towards your goal today. Whatever's missing in your life, change it now. Don't wait for, I'll do it when this, or I'll take care of that when that. No, do it right now. Do something today. Something as soon as you get off this video. Take action. Your future self will thank you for it. In Sartre's words, look in the mirror, be your own ultimate judge and jury. Make yourself actually do the thing that you would like to do in your mind. That's all I have for today. Next time will be extroverted thinking. Peace out.